Hello, good afternoon. Welcome to Communities Live here on Sheffield Live 93.2 FM. Chris and Ellie here, and we have a guest here today, a very special guest here today. We have Delta. Good afternoon.
Hi, hello, Chris. Very nice to be here.
So, thank you for joining me today.
No, of course, definitely. Very excited.
So, for our listeners at home, give us a bit of background. Tell us a little bit about yourself.
Yeah, so I'm half Greek, half English. So my dad's from Greece and my mom is from Manchester in the UK. So I've been traveling my whole life, like back and forth between the two countries. And I moved to London like a month and a half ago. I used to live here, so like 7 years ago as well. And yeah, I mean, musically, I started playing like really early. I started off with the piano, like classically trained at the age of 5, which I absolutely hated because I was really bad at studying, um, especially like complex classical parts. And at the age of 12, I sort of ditched the piano for the guitar. I got myself, an electric, an amp, and I sort of never looked back since. And yeah, I was super into punk, like Green Day, Blink-182 and stuff, which is, you just learn like a chord, a power chord, you can play sort of all songs with it, which is very
Yeah.
different to the piano, which is a lot more, let's say, intricate. Um, yeah, and sort of started writing music then as well, like nearly instantly as soon as I picked up the guitar. And yeah, that's that's pretty much it.
I mean, to our listeners at home, who are your main influences? Who influenced you to become a musician?
So the first time, I was obsessed with the Green Day, and I watched this Bulletin and Bible DVD. That it was actually a show in the UK that they did, like an open air show.
Yeah.
And I remember watching that and thinking that's exactly what I want to be when I grow up. Like this is it. And I remember like the first time in my life that I knew like this is what I want to do. And it's funny how like some things, in life don't change. Like I'm equally as excited every time like I watch a live show now or anytime I perform live. Um, but then like, to my later teens and like early 20s, uh I was super, I would dive into one artist and sort of learn everything about them, listen to every record, watch every interview,
Yeah.
until I moved on to the next. I've been through, Pink Floyd was a very big influence. David Bowie, of course, Queen. So I've been all of the 70s more sort of scene. Um, but of course, like I've listened to like more modern stuff as well. So I listen to like Olivia Rodrigo, Billie Eilish.
Yeah.
But then again, I find when I listen to their music, I can hear influences from like earlier decades. But at the same time, it's quite modern as well, which is nice. Um, yeah, so I think my influences vary, but I'd say overall it's like very 70s, just because I love people in a room playing music together to record something rather
Yeah.
than an electronic element or MIDI like stuff being played.
I mean, you mentioned a few influences like David Bowie, Queen, Billie Eilish. I've got to ask if there was anybody that you could work with in the near future, who would it be and why?
Oh, okay. I mean that's um I'd love to work with so many artists. So okay, one of my favorite like sort of new era artists is Lady Gaga. I think she's super talented and I'd love at some point to work with her. Um Also Billie Eilish and Phineas. Also, I'd love to work with them as well because I find them so creative as well. Like, I listen to their music and it's just mind blowing how every element of it is just so fresh, but at the same time so timeless as well. Um, and yeah, I think this, of course, you're from Sheffield, so Arctic Monkeys, of course, I
Oh,
absolutely
legends.
legends. So the AM is one of my favorite albums of all time. I think it's just so good as a record. I used to, it's one of the few records that I actually listen front to back over and over again because there are no bad songs on that record. So and I also I saw them, so they came to Greece this summer, so I saw them live as well. And I love the new direction that they're going at now, whereas they're true artists, not caring about, making a chart-topping single or something, just
Yeah.
expressing themselves and keep experimenting and keep exploring different avenues that they can, express what they want to say. And I think that's for that reason I'd love to, of course, like such a privilege to do anything with them, even if it's like just a guest at a gig or anything. Yeah.
And you have a new single called Happy Out of Love. So tell us a little bit about that. I mean, was it quite a long process or did it come together quite quickly?
So I usually I can't write a song in one sitting. It usually takes me a long time, but funnily, this song I actually wrote in one sitting. So I was actually in London at the time, and I mean, see what the song's about. It's what it says in the tin. So it's a song about being happy
Mm.
out of a relationship. It's actually being in one of those relationships that absolutely had to end, and when it did end, finally I felt so relieved, which you don't expect. So usually, okay, you're sad in the beginning, but then 1 or 2 weeks go by and you realize I'm actually a lot better off than what was with this person. You start feeling better. Um, yeah, and I wrote this song in London. I had actually my first co-writing session arranged, and I was in London the night before, and my manager called me up, and I had a song called Strange, which did really well in Greece and actually regional in the UK as well. And he told me we want another hit, another like pop song. I told him it doesn't work like that. I can't just write another pop song,
Yeah. Mm.
And but I was in my hotel room, and then a friend of mine calls me and tells me, next week he was having his birthday, and he wanted to let me know that my ex was going to be there. I'm like, shit, I can't believe like this is still like going on and happening. I picked up the guitar, and without really like thinking about it, I started writing this song, and I wrote like nearly all of it in the span of 20 minutes. And then I took it to Max the next day. And I told him, look, I've written like up to the chorus, like all of the parts. And then I told him, well, the song is about, we discussed the story, we chatted. I met him, just such a brilliant guy. And he laughed. He's like, okay, like, let's do this. Let's just finish this. And we did so in like a couple of hours. And we also produced a demo, but we were just having fun and without taking it too seriously. So like that's why a lot of the lyrics are meant to be, to come across as funny as well. They're not like that. Yeah, they're more humorous and sarcastic than being mean to the other person.
I mean, to our listeners at home who want to break into this kind of industry, I mean, one, how difficult is it? And two, what advice would you give?
What do you mean to write to the song?
No, sorry, to break into the music industry.
Oh, to break up. I mean, I haven't broken yet. So I mean,
All right, okay.
I'd ask the same question to other artists. So I think, I mean, in Greece that I did have like my big break in Greece like a year ago. I'd say that the I mean, the main thing is music, right? I mean, you can do TikTok videos and everything else, and they can help you very briefly reach the surface. But if you don't have good music, there is no way that you can have like a long sustaining career. So because if you think about like our job as musicians is to be able to write good music, perform live, and that's pretty much it. So if you can do these two things well and you keep improving at them, at some point people will take notice and you will become better. I mean, and that's the thing with many artists I meet nowadays. They're so tempted to just, make TikTok videos and go viral on TikTok, but that's not, you can't control that. But what you can control is if you write 100 songs, you will become better. If you practice more on your instrument, you will become better. And what at the end of the day, what you want is if you play a show and 10 people show up or five, you want them to tell their friends, oh, like I listened to this artist and he's actually amazing. And five will become 10 and 10 will become 20. And I've actually seen this in Greece. So like last show we did last year, actually no, earlier this year in April, we headlined in Athens, sold out, 250 capacity venue. But that didn't start, from day one. Actually, we've played like all of the smaller venues leading up to it. And it's nice to see, the progress and seeing fans coming again and again and bringing their friends over, because I meet them afterwards and they say, I convinced my friend to come to your gig and she absolutely loved it. And that's what it is about, because you know, if let's say I was a TikTok sensation and they came to the show and it was not that good, I don't think they'd come again. You know.
Yeah.
So I mean, if I have any advice, it's yeah, that's it.
Well, thank you for sharing that with me. I mean, have you got for our listeners at home again? Have you got any upcoming tours that you would like to talk about?
Yes, so I actually on the 3rd of November we're starting supporting Scatting for Girls,
Wow.
which is going to be super interesting for 2 weeks around the UK. Unfortunately, not coming to Sheffield, but maybe next time around. Um, but that's super exciting. So we're going 2 weeks all the way from like Glasgow and Aberdeen all the way to like Bristol, um, for 2 weeks, and then finishing off with a headline show in London, and then continuing for like a small tour of Greece early December. Yeah, so that's very exciting.
And I mean, is there still tickets available for these upcoming tours? I mean, or are they all sold out at the moment?
They're mostly, I think the dates are mostly sold out for the tour. But for the headline show in London, there should be. So this is going to be announced like in a week or so. So if anyone's around and wants to come down, more than happy to have them.
Thank you for sharing that with me. And I mean, is there any future projects that you're currently working on, or is it all secretive at the moment?
So Happy to Love is being released on the 1st of November. And after that, I just submitted new demos to my producer. We have some stuff already recorded. So so we're having another single early 24 and a lot more music coming out next year, probably an album. This is not confirmed yet, but we're working towards an album release, an EP album. So yeah, I'd say keep in touch because definitely lots of music, probably a record, another tour early next year. So yeah, and people can follow what I'm up to also on Instagram, I think, and TikTok are the best avenues. And my thumbnail is this is D3LTA is my username on both platforms. So
And I
yeah.
mean, for people, sorry, and for people who want to get a copy of your single, I mean, you mentioned digital platforms, but is there any physical copies that people can get?
So no, currently we won't have any physical copies for the single, unfortunately. But when the album does come out, of course, you'll have like loads of physical copies as well, bringing out the tour. But we are going to have merch, which is going to be very interesting for the first time ever, with the "Happy Out of Love" written on the front of the t-shirt. So yeah.
And my final question for you, Delta, is there anything that you would like to say to our audience?
Um, just it's lovely to be here. I'd love to come to Sheffield at some point. And to make that happen, if you just follow Instagram and send me like a DM, or if you own a venue or something, I'd be more than happy, you know, to jump on that and then come and visit you and meet you guys in person.
Delta, it's been a pleasure. Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you very much, Chris.